A koala sits motionless on a blackened branch, eyes glazed, fur singed, the forest around her nothing but ash and silence. The camera pans wider, no leaves, no birdsong, only smoke curling through skeletal trees. This is not a scene from a dystopian film. This happened. Australia, summer 2019. Fires so vast they created their own weather. 3 billion animals, burned, displaced, or simply vanished. Somewhere in the gray stillness, her name is Ellie. She doesn't know she's become a symbol. She doesn't know if she'll survive the night. But someone is coming for her. Someone who hasn't slept in days. The world's largest wildfire crisis is unfolding, and every life saved is a fight against the impossible. This isn't just about animals. It's about us. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. Every morning, before the sun warmed the eucalyptus trees, Ellie climbed the same tall trunk near the creek outside Port Macquarie. The leaves were soft, and the breeze gentle. She moved slowly, not because she was weak, but because koalas do. Her world was rhythm and stillness, sleep, feed, climb. Nearby, other koalas stirred in their trees, hidden in green. It was quiet, safe. The forest had always been here. Generations before her had fed on these same trees. She didn't know her kind was already in trouble, habitats shrinking, heat rising, food trees dying slowly. But that morning, everything still felt whole. No smoke. No sound of panic. Just wind in the leaves and the soft weight of life above the ground. And then, far off, a smell. Strange, sharp. Distant. Not yet danger, but different. The smoke came before the flames. A low haze settled over the treetops, dulling the sky to an unnatural orange. Birds flew erratically, then vanished. Ellie shifted on her branch, uneasy. Leaves that once fed her were hot to the touch. Miles away, in Port Macquarie, phones started ringing. One of them belonged to Dr. Kate Morris. Reports were coming in, fires moving fast, too fast. Wildlife fleeing toward roads, some already burned. Kate had seen bushfires before, but not like this. She grabbed her emergency bag and keys without speaking. The hospital staff was already mobilizing. Then came a call no one forgets, a koala, alone, limping near Crestwood Drive, crying soundlessly. Burned. Still alive. Kate's breath caught. This wasn't a routine rescue. This was the beginning of something they couldn't yet measure. The road to the site was half visible through the smoke. Trees flickered in and out of view like ghosts. Dr. Kate Morris gripped the steering wheel tighter, windshield streaked with ash. Sirens wailed far off, but closer, nothing. Silence. When she reached the location, the world looked scorched. No houses, no movement. Just a blackened landscape and an eerie heat still rising from the ground. Then, in the corner of her eye, she saw her, Ellie, hunched low, barely clinging to a trunk, her fur singed, nose blistered, eyes dull. Kate approached slowly, calling softly, but the koala didn't react. Not out of fear, out of exhaustion. When Kate reached for her, Ellie tried to move and collapsed. This wasn't just one injured animal. It was the edge of something massive. And it was only beginning. Kate wrapped Ellie in a singed towel from the back seat and drove straight to the koala hospital. Inside, it was chaos, stretchers with animals, volunteers moving fast, oxygen tanks, cooling pads. But there was order in the chaos. Dr. Adam Stevenson, recently back from fire zones in Victoria, met her at the door. He'd seen this before, burns on paws, scorched lungs, the silent shock. Without a word, he set up fluids, pain relief, cooling gels. Kate hesitated, watching Ellie's shallow breathing. Then Adam pointed to a whiteboard, a new protocol. Developed just last week, tested on fire victims, koalas had begun to respond. It wasn't a cure, but it was a chance. For the first time in hours, Kate let herself believe. Maybe Ellie could make it. Maybe more could. The fires were still burning, but now, they had something to fight back with. Ellie's breathing grew ragged by nightfall. The burns on her paws were deep, and her lungs strained with every shallow inhale. Kate and Adam stood over her, eyes locked on the monitor, oxygen dropping, heart rate erratic. Standard treatment wasn't enough. There was one option left, an experimental anti-inflammatory, untested on koalas this fragile. Risky. But without it, Ellie wouldn't make it to morning. Kate hesitated for a breath, then nodded. Adam prepared the injection, delicate hands, silent urgency. The needle slid in, and the room held its breath. Minutes passed. Nothing changed. Ellie lay still, chest barely moving, her tiny body wrapped in damp gauze. No one spoke. Outside, smoke from new fires rolled across the parking lot. Inside, they waited. Would her body fight? Would she respond? No one could say. All they could do now, was hope. The hours blurred into each other. Kate sat beside Ellie's enclosure, elbows on knees, eyes fixed on the slow rise and fall of the tiny chest beneath bandages. A monitor beeped softly, steady but faint. Outside, dawn began to lift the sky into a dull gray, ash still floated in the air. Inside, it was still. No movement. Just waiting. She replayed every step in her mind. Was it too much? Too late? Around her, the hospital stirred quietly, volunteers whispered, water dishes refilled, charts updated in silence. But Kate didn't move. Her hands were clenched, her mind circling the same question, would Ellie wake? The fire had taken so many. Whole forests were gone. Colonies vanished. But here, in this small room, one life still held on. And that, for now, was everything. It happened just after sunrise. A twitch. Barely there, but real. Ellie's paw moved, then her ear flicked, slow and unsure. Kate shot up, leaning closer, barely breathing. Another breath, deeper this time. Then Ellie opened one eye, unfocused, dazed, alive. Kate pressed her hand to her mouth, eyes burning. Around her, the room shifted. A whisper. A rush of movement. Adam stepped in, saw her awake, and simply nodded. No words. Just the sound of quiet victory. The drug had worked. Not perfectly. Not painlessly. But it gave Ellie a chance. And that was everything. In a week of fire and death, this small, silent animal fought back. Against all odds. Against the smoke, the heat, the silence. One life, saved. And somehow, that made it all feel possible again. Ellie stayed at the hospital for weeks, bandages changed, burns cleaned, strength slowly returning. Kate visited her every day, not out of duty, but something deeper. In a season of unbearable loss, Ellie became a reminder that even when the world burns, some things can be saved. The fires scorched millions of acres, silenced entire ecosystems. But this one life, fragile and stubborn, survived. Kate still thinks about the others, those they couldn't reach, the empty branches where life once moved. But Ellie's recovery taught her something simple and lasting: every act of care matters. Every hand extended into smoke can shift the story. She knows this isn't the only tale. Not by far. There are thousands more, some still unfolding. But this one she'll carry, always. Because hope, once found, has a way of growing roots. Ellie's journey doesn't end here. It's just one story in a world where many are still waiting for help. The fires have left scars, on the land, the animals, and in our hearts. But as we see in her survival, even in the darkest times, there is light, and there are hands ready to help. We've all seen the power of compassion and care, and it can change everything. Thank you for watching, for being part of this journey. It's stories like these that remind us to keep going, to keep fighting for those who can't speak for themselves. What can you do to help? Every small act matters. Like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Together, we can make a difference.